Hello. Anyway, let me move the camera up a bit. Anyway, hi MBA members, friends. My name is Frank Bobbio. I'm in Salem, Oregon. I'm primarily a knife maker, been making knives about 30 years. I do a little bit of blacksmith and forging work also. So today we're gonna take a piece of mild steel bar stock, originally on this one. So we're gonna make a skull bottle opener. We're gonna put some dental work into it. Normally I use stock that's 1 1/4 inches thick, 2 inches wide, and usually 3 1/4 inches tall. I didn't have any of it, so I did have some 1x2, and I cut off a 5-inch piece and already upset it, so we're gonna use that today. Normally here's one of my dies from the press over here, but that's what I normally use. But anyway, we're gonna do this. We got a limited amount of time, and usually it takes me a little bit longer than the 30 minutes allotted. So I'm gonna kick it into high gear and let's get going. First thing, let me bring up, I'm out in the country. This internet's coming over the copper phone lines, then to the rouse router, the one in the shop. If we get disconnected, which it does happen, it automatically reboots me and brings me back on in 60 seconds. So if I go dead, nobody panic, just stay online. Patricia will take over and start talking. And I won't know about it because I'm gonna switch the other camera. So when I come back on live, someone can go ahead and tell me. All right, so I'm gonna switch to the other camera in the back. The reason being this should have better resolution and quality. So today the machinery we're gonna be using is a induction furnace, and then the hydraulic press, maybe a small power hammer. I'm gonna go ahead, I got the metal a little bit preheated. I'm gonna start getting that warmed up first, and then we'll go ahead and talk about it while we're working on this. Turn our power knobs up. So anyway, this machine takes 220 input and single phase, turns it into magnetic inductance, and basically excites the atoms in the steel, heats it up. These coils, it's just a copper tubing, has water pumped through it through the system. The coils themselves do not get hot. They will get hot from the radiant heat of the bar stock. Oh, let me show you what I started with here. So this was 1x2x5, and I went ahead and squished it a little and then heat up just the top. And I normally don't do it this way. I did get a little bit of a profile of the skull to start with. Maybe it'll be beneficial. So we'll see what happens. So if you look at this number here, about the maximum we'll get is 810 maybe. If I stick it in too fast, it doesn't couple up with the frequency. Once it drops down below about 300, it starts going in the other direction. It's not really here because this piece of steel is already 1,000 degrees. It's sort of in the black heat range. So I can start feeding it up in a little bit quicker than normal. Patricia, can you hear me okay?
Oh, this is Claire, and yes, I can.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Frank.
Just want to make sure I didn't drop out. So, all right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch this up to auto and hit that button. We have a timer here. For some reason, this timer, it seems like it goes about 2 minutes and then I have to reset it, but I don't use it that often, and so 2 is just fine. So you see it drop down when I fed it in. It's slowly climbing back up. I was going to hopefully let go of this, but it looks like I already burned some holes in this ceramic sock that goes over the coils. It will short out, make a spark if you touch the coils with the bare metal. This covering prevents that, the white covering prevents it from happening, but it already has some holes in it, so I can see a little sparks there. So let me see if I can. I was gonna let go a second while that heats up. That's on. So let me come down here in case you guys might or might not be familiar with it. I have a stainless steel tank. It has 10 gallons of a water and RV antifreeze coolant mix. Then it has a pump, brass rotary vane, valve, a heat exchanger or a radiator, and then it comes up. So let's come back over to this. This coil I made actually for doing small billets of Damascus. This isn't the, this is actually, would be a fairly big billet for me of making Damascus steel for knives. Here's my other little coil. Sometimes I'll actually go ahead and even just, I can use this little coil just for a very small stack. Maybe in the future we'll do a rapid billet making process. You can usually take a small billet, enough for making a single knife, probably be 2.5 inches long, inch tall, and I can get that from cold to ready to set the weld in about 4 minutes. This coil I just made, I changed the direction up and down. That's sort of unusual for coils. I just wanted to try it, and I thought maybe for making like a 3-inch high stack of Damascus, it might work better. So actually, I've never used it for Damascus, but it seems to be working good for this skull here. So we're getting up to a pretty good temperature there. So the first thing we're going to do is pull this out a second. We're going to cool those down. Since I got to play cameraman, we're going to go to camera position number 2. Wow, this is the strangest thing. Somehow the video got reversed. It's on the wrong side, but it'll work. Not sure how it got flipped. Okay, you see the press. We come back over, get some gloves on.
And it was mentioned, Bhakti wanted to say that coolant system is pretty shiny. He says, nice build, Frank, exclamation point.
You can heat at the bottom, even though when I do these, primarily I only want to squish the top. We're going to be setting the grooves on the top of the forehead of the skull first. But since we're going to be going in at sort of a precarious / dangerous angle, I always worry about when there's not a good mating surface on the press, things could kick out. So if I have the bottom surface, the bottom of the skull, even though I don't want to be, squeezing it, if it mates in a little and squishes the bottom, it should make it seat in, and there's less chance of it kicking out. So, another thing is on this, I'm going to use tongs for part of it. Then I'm going to switch to channel locks. I know that's not the right way to go, but you'll see why, because you'll be able to get a better video. All right, so first, we're going to put the top there. Okay. Now we're going to give him a little crease on the front of his forehead. That's sort of the dangerous part, seems to work fine. Yeah, let's give him a little more weight. Okay. So let me hold this up here. All right, I think that should work on the view. I can't see, but there we go. All right, so we went ahead and put a little flat up here on both sides, a little angle on the forehead and the front. This could be done by hand. To me, it usually looks better if you go ahead and do it on the press, and it's one continuous plane. Anyway, but that's just aesthetics. So next thing we're going to do, we're going to squeeze this part of the jaw down, or this part of the metal in order to make the jaw. And then we'll come back and do the eye. So
Excellent. People have some questions about that beautiful press you're using. How many tons? Pardon the interruption.
Okay, I think we'll use that on the front. So the press is a 24-ton rapid press. It's from Riverside Machine and Tooling, which is Uncle L's. It goes about 2 inches a second, self-reversing with the foot pedal. There's definitely 2 or 3 better presses, and if I had the money, I might go with some of the other ones, like, you know, a cold press. The Anyang's really good, but for, I think they're 3,300 now. They're 3,500. Pretty hard to beat a rapid acting 24-ton press for 3,500 bucks. So if you're on a limited budget, which I'm a retired guy at my house, so that means me, this actually does a lot of work for the money. If anybody else has any questions, if you can see off to the side, anyway, all the dies over here. I don't know how much is visible right now on the video screen, but I've made a lot of dies, some for punch and hammers. Well, for 3 or 4 operations, I'm doing hammers and then some other. So if you saw that sparking, that's me actually where it's burnt through the ceramic tube coating. Okay, I think that should be good. Now on this, I'm going to go ahead and switch to channel lock. I know it's a blacksmith no-no. We're going to use it anyway. Let me look at the camera angle. I think we're good. Let me get in here a little closer for you guys. Okay. The reason being is, if I came straight out here, I'd be blocking the view. So this way I can stay down below and hold it a little bit better. A lot of times it presses more from one side to the other, so I like to flip it over and give a little on the other side. Yeah, I think that works. So to turn this off, I'll look at the back side of the camera. Anyway, when you do this, generally, in my speaking, more is better when you squeeze the jaw in. It looks like it wants to be more, but it just, to me, if you do much more than that, it gets too skinny on the mouth part. So anyway, so that's being necked in. We'll wire brush it. You won't be able to see that, but I need to. So we're going to heat it back up again. But this time we're going to put the eyes in. And while that's heating, I'll go over what we're going to be using for that.
Folks were very interested in your Induction Forge. Kellen had mentioned that it's a 50 kilowatt US solid unit. Someone has found the website. They think, where did you get yours from?
Hold on just a second. I noticed that here's something you have to worry about in a gas forge. I've already got 2 wires from that forging operation and I'm hitting going in. So I'm going to flatten this thing out a bit. Okay, can you please repeat the question?
Yes, they had asked where you had gotten your Induction Forge from.
I got it from Joy Fay International. They were, this was going on 3 years ago now. They were one of the first ones. I know Grant Savior was an MBA member when he was with us. He was one of the first ones, as far as I know, to bring in an induction furnace in the affordable range back in 2001, according to the band, The Timeline. And then he sold it off to Larry, and now I think another, can't remember who has it now. But I've been looking online, and they had them from China for the last 7 years through eBay. The price kept coming down, and then I saw that on eBay, one of their members or sellers was selling them, and they were shipping them out of Cleveland, Ohio. And so I actually called, and they said they handled the warranty there. The price was coming down, and so 3 summers ago, I figured they were actually down to 700 and something, and then with shipping, so it was like $970 delivered. And so I've called them a couple times. They went ahead and answered the phone. I figured that was a good way to go. So I had about 1,000 for this. The rest of the cart, the tank I had, the pump assembly from eBay, it came complete as a unit for about 170. The radiator is about 65. So I had 350 in the full cart build. Normally you use 6 and 8 millimeter tubing. I made a conversion adapter that goes here so that way I can run standard 1/4 inch. All right. First thing I do is cool these down. I do not like to get them too hot. I'll ruin the temper on them. I think we can actually switch at this point since we'll be changing. So let me go over the tooling here. First ones I made were smaller. This is the larger version. These were 1-inch ball bearings. I went ahead, squished them down, then hand sanded them, then welded them on here and did more hand sanding. And it looks like there's quite a bit of a droop coming down. It's not that apparent when you press it in, so I kept pressing it into clay, looking at it. To make this die, at least for me, this was actually like 6 hours of making imprints in clay to get it to work out. And so far it's been working really good. So, and I think I'm at about, this should be skull number, actually I think 75. I think I made 74 as a test run. So now
That's
we're ready
excellent.
to go. Let me throw a little more heat into this. And Patricia, if you could give me a, I'm going to try to, if I have to cut out a few of the procedures just so I can get it all the way through to the end, give me a, you got 10 minutes left, you got 5 minutes left, and then I'll know what, to trim off as far as, the procedure, if you could do that for me.
Yeah, I certainly will. I think that we've got, another 15 minutes or so that we could do this for.
Okay.
And I just want to say, Frank, you are doing a marvelous job. So keep up the great work. The camera angles look wonderful.
Here's where I need those other, they don't use these, you won't be able to see what I'm doing. This way I can get my hand out of the way for you guys. So on this, I usually try to go right where I put the top of the forehead angles in. I try to go right below that. It's important to keep the right, left, and the up and down. Otherwise, it gets a little googly-eyed, which it does happen. And right and left, I think we're good. And all right, so there's that. We're going to go in and push in a little deeper. So Patricia, how was the, I know that piece of metal is pretty bright. Were you able to see it or did it blow out the video lighting? Was it a white ball?
I could say I don't know. Let's hear feedback from the gallery. Because I don't know
if I pull back a little, sometimes when you put bright pieces of metal in front, you can't see any detail and it just looks like it's just too bright for the camera to pick up. So I wasn't sure.
And Mike Hayes says that it was pretty white, and Paul Wagner said it looks like an orange ball. And so, and then Joe said,
"Oh, okay, that's what I was afraid of."
Yeah.
Okay, go. I better just take a little break.
But they like it. So don't you worry. We are still entertained. We are still engaged, and you're doing a marvelous job. Thank you
Always
so
got to
much.
get some punch lube on this. So one thing I've noticed on the press compared to the power hammer is the contact time. Power hammer, it's hitting and the whole thing is separating, bouncing. On the press, you can destroy tooling really quick. So I try to limit the time that I'm in the pocket, get it out, cool the tool, even though I know you're not supposed to go, from a hot tool into water, but it's my tool. I'm going to do it anyway. And so far it hasn't cracked. And so I got the other thing is always keep with some good punch lube on there. I try never to double strike without punch lube. We'll get a little more. These pickup tongs are just not adequate. It is pretty nice to be able to heat things up pretty quickly with this induction furnace. Shorted out there. And be able to isolate the heat a little. All right, so here we go for the next time. I'm gonna, come on. Let's get that on. Okay, we're ready. I'll back up a little, see if that doesn't overwhelm the camera.
Start bringing it close and hold it at kind of an angle so it's not flat on, but a little bit to the side. There you go. And then bring it a little closer. Yeah, now we're starting to see it. Bring it a little bit closer even. Yeah, there you go. Y'all see that, don't you?
As it cools
Perfect.
down.
That looks so good.
So now you can see that even though I had the die, those ball bearings angled, you don't see that much of a, you know, of a, in fact, they look, I'm going to go in one more time here. Put that in automatic, we'll cool these down. You know what I think happened is, here I'm talking and thinking about the, getting the shot. I might have had that eye die in the wrong orientation. It looks like the eyes are going up, cat eyes. But, so we'll just go ahead and press them in again and see how that works.
I think for our purposes, it looks wonderful.
Let's see. Yep, that's it. So let's see. If I don't get in your way, I'm going to try grabbing it from the back side. So my hands are out of the way. That's better. Guess we had a cameraman here. So anyway, so here we go. The eyes look a little bit better. Now what we're going to do is go ahead and get the eyes to droop a little. So we're going to throw a little more heat in there. This is not mandatory. Sometimes I do some with and without just to give them a little different character.
Oh, and Bhakti said there was excellent detail at that heat.
Okay, so now I'm going to switch. I don't want the eyes to break in here, but if we can come down just a little, sometimes bringing the top of the eyes down will flatten it off, get a little more of a sinister look rather than wide open, and you know, but both are fine. So we'll go with that as far as on the eyes. Let's switch those off. Switch back to our other tongs. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and cut the mouth in. And then we'll put the teeth in, the nostrils in. We'll give the eyes some, maybe a few little cut marks, sort of expression lines on the eyeball sockets. That's something I don't always do, but you'll see it sort of like in clown stuff and evil clowns, so sometimes I'll throw those in there. Let's see. We can let that go. So while that's going, this is a tool we're going to use to cut the mouth in. I just noticed that I didn't resharpen it. It might stick. Let's look at that. You know, while that's heating, I'm run to the grinder. You guys can probably still hear me.
All right, and I have muted Frank at this moment. Frank, you just give me a thumbs up when you're ready for me to turn the audio back on. Oh, I see him away from the grinder now.
Okay, so we're going to put some lube on the cutting tool. Get that prepared. Throw this sucker back in. Let me look behind the camera and check the camera angle. We still, you know, I think I can.
Yeah, you can even to the right some. There you go.
Like that.
Mm-hmm. And just so you know, Joe Elliott is being very well behaved right now. And we just want to give him all the thumbs up.
And what would he be doing if he wasn't well behaved?
Oh.
Okay, are we ready?
Let's move on to different subjects, yes.
All right, so let's go ahead and cut the mouth in. Try to keep it level. Okay. Keep it fairly straight. Okay,
excellent. And then hold it at that angle. There you go. Nice. You can bring a little closer even. Nice.
Is it time
beautiful.
for the close-up?
Yeah, beautiful.
Time for the close-up, Mr. DeMills. All right. So that looks good. Let's go ahead and switch those. We're now going to put the teeth in. Go to camera shot number 4. See how this is going to be.
And Paul Wagner says, that looks nice. So you just keep up the good work.
All right. I'm going to kick that out a bit. Not that you guys, you know, you guys are professional smiths. You don't need to see me do a little bit of hammer work with a chisel, but I'll do it anyway for you. So anybody have any questions? Nope. Patricia, you there?
Apologies, I just realized I was muted. Right now, we're caught up on questions. I'm interested, where did you learn this project or this process from, or how long have you been tweaking it over time and making adjustments?
I've been making these 5, 6 years. They started small, jumped to the bigger ones, maybe, well, made the small ones for a year and then jumped to the bigger ones. Originally, it was on a iForge iron post. Someone said, show me your forged skulls, and not sure, I think it was Dylan Forge, anyway, professional blacksmith in another state. But he made some really awesome ones, and so everybody else's weren't that good, and so that is what I was aspiring to. So these are not my idea. I basically copied from him, and that guy.
That would be Michael Dillon out of Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah, see, that's some awesome work. So for him making skulls, that's just a real low budget thing for him.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I try to get the first tooth right down the middle, pointing up the bridge of the nose, and then we'll put a smaller tooth off on both sides. How's that camera angle? Can you see what I'm doing or not doing?
We can see where you're hitting, and we can see the angle at which you're holding your chisel. And so I think we're able to piece it together. There was a question about, could we please see your chisel? What kind of chisel are you using? And that was from Mike Hayes, he had asked.
Yeah, it's, you know, just a standard chisel, not a hot working chisel. Don't even know what brand. I've got a lot of tools from my dad, from my father-in-law. They're both, you know, working type guys. So not even sure this could have come from I just use it. And I figured I do have some hot working chisels, but that was sharp and it was there. And so nothing special. How about that?
Yeah, Mike saw it and he said, that's great, thank you.
So I think what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and sink those teeth in a little bit deeper. And then while we got this section, we're going to put the nostrils in, flip it over, put some bottom teeth, and then we'll get on over to the milling machine. Okay. I don't think we need the hole fast there today. Anyway, here's a little chisel. It was just also not a hot working chisel. I just ground it. Wasn't sure if it was going to be exactly what. And let me see here. Actually, that's the small one for the small skulls. And picked up the wrong one there. They're both the same, just different sizes. Yeah. Should probably get a little more heat up on the. If I did these skulls all the time, I'd probably go ahead and you know, use the appropriate tool. But since I actually looked on the last skull that I have, and it has a date on it from 2018 of June. So other than last week when I went ahead and started making some again, it's been a while. So it was weird when I first saw the posting on iForge Iron. Skulls were really in fashion. Skull, you know, everything. And when I first started making these, putting them on eBay and Etsy, I was getting, you know, a lot of hits, a lot of feedback. People liked them. I was selling them, and then like within a year, since I got in at the very end of the whole skull fad, it just dropped off. So from selling and making a bunch of them, and actually doing them originally on the small power hammer, which that hammer, the dies are small, so it's actually pretty hard to get it situated there. Once I got the press 4 years ago, the fad was already over, so I haven't actually made that many. All right. Let's see if
I think they still capture the eye. I just love them.
Yeah, I think they're pretty neat, and you know. You guys notice this stylish hammer here? That's one that I forged here in the shop. There's actually a second. There's a defect in it, so I figured, well, we'll just see how long I can use it before it breaks. So maybe we can have something special happen if it goes haywire. But I got my safety glasses on. So. All right, this glove is getting pretty darn hot. We'll go and heat it back up, one more heat.
What you said about these skulls being in style and going out of style makes me think We all carry skeletons around with us every day. Can a skull or skeleton truly go out of style? I think not. Feel free to weigh in the comments section.
Yeah.
I'm loving this interview.
Now, one thing, the other skulls I've seen people make, even though the other Smith, he made some pretty awesome skulls. I did bring the turning it into a bottle opener. That was sort of my doing. I don't think I've ever seen anybody else doing a skull that actually works as a bottle opener. Not that it was real creative on my part. I heard a ding. I don't know if someone just texted me. Okay, let's just go with that because we're out of time. All right, let me pick this up.
And as you finish up these heats, yeah, if you could show us.
Yeah. Okay.
Looking good.
So you can go ahead and see, well, one nostril, I got one covered up.
A little lower and a little closer.
All
Perfect.
right.
Excellent. Yeah.
I'll walk to the back
That's
side
it.
of the pan.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, now we get the part that the kids like. Not that I get that many kids over here, but we're gonna boil the blood in the eye sockets. All right, it won't be blood, it will be water, but sort of fun. Let's see here. And we're gonna, oh. I just realized Zoom does not let you do, it doesn't let you digitally zoom in, which I did not realize.
Oh, okay.
So I tried to
with
keep there's gonna be a lot of steam, so I thought I would keep the camera back and just digitally zoom in, but it doesn't work. All right.
Ooh.
There we go.
Oh, look at it boil in its eyes. That's so cool. Awesome.
I don't know if it's cool, but kids like that. All right, let's, since this isn't high carbon steel, not really worried about it cracking, I'm just gonna dump it in there. You got about 60 seconds for that to cool down so I can hand hold it. How about a quick shop tour?
That sounds like a marvelous idea. And Bhakti said that was a very nice moment when the water was boiling in its eyes.
So anyway, got a small parts tumbler here, steel shot in there, welding table, hold it down, MIG and TIG. This is a small home-built CNC machine. It was actually patterned after a engraving machine that I knew a guy, and then so we went ahead and made it with a 2 by 4 foot table. And so I basically set it up so I could go ahead and run plasma on one side. Well, originally I was doing routering with a small router or a small milling machine head off a shear line. Now I convert it. And then a couple years ago, I thought, you know, I don't do that much big stuff. So I went ahead and made permanently half plasma, half for routering. So that way I can go back and forth. And if I want to CNC router some knife handles, I can do it on this side. As far as stuff that I've done in the past, the top row at the top, those are foundry patterns. For a while, I was doing quite a bit of foundry work. And so I made the Winchester patterns at the top and then actually knife handles. So that way I could cast an aluminum handle over an 01 blade, sort of like what Gerber did back in the early 40s. And then a padlock, I was a locksmith, so I figured I'd make a padlock pattern and cast those. And anyway, so there's some of the different gizmos. This is the grinding room where I do my knife grinding. And let's move on. Got a little air-powered 3-ton arbor press, mainly use that for straightening. It doesn't have much more power for anything other than that. Rockwell tester, another little press. It's a air over hydraulic cylinder, but I just use a by hand now for stamping. Got a few knives, stuff. Most important thing in the shop, well, no, I guess not the motorcycle, but we got a lathe, milling machine. That's where we're headed in just a second. And then the woodworking section. All right. Hopefully I wasn't moving the camera too fast, I think.
No,
Yeah,
you've got an excellent shop. Thank you for sharing. We do have a question from Billy. He asked, when does the product testing happen? And do you test every bottle opener before putting it up for sale?
You know, I forgot to bring the darn bottle, but yes, I actually do.
Nice.
Because I want to make sure the dental works anyway. So here we go now. So we're going to quickly run to the grinder. We're going to take this flashing off on the side. So that way it'll just truck up in the milling machine vise. I don't want to score the jaws there. So, anyway, so let's run over here quickly. And no, I don't have a respirator on. I will kick on this exhaust fan. I'm just going to do a tiny bit here. Okay, so all I did is take that down just so it goes in the milling machine vise. So Patricia, you got 5 more minutes for me to machine this, or you want me to just tell about it and wrap it up?
Oh, I think we have 5 more minutes. And also, once you've given us that shop tour, people are saying they've got some serious shop envy. Folks want to know how many square feet is your shop? And someone wants to know what kind of power hammer you have, I think.
I had a skull here. This is the last one I did the other day, and I figured I would just stick it in there. So now this, I have a Woodruff key cutter up here, and that's what I'm going to be doing about 80% with. I noticed that the mouth, I picked up the wrong cutting tool. The mouth isn't quite open enough. We'll see if we can get in there, just like at the dentist. Unless you can get your mouth open, the dentist can't get inside. So we might have to delay this, and let's see. I don't think the paste, well, yeah, you know, I can probably do it, but I might, well, let's see here. I have 2 different tools to cut the mouth open with, and I think in my rush, I picked up the one for the small skulls. That down.
Excellent video angle.
I'm just going back and forth to make sure I'm not catching anywhere that I shouldn't be. It does look. So I actually keep a small shim with me. Not the best way, but a lot of times I got to rock the jaw line in order. So when I run the cutter back and forth to make sure. Anyway, I think I don't want to ruin his top teeth. So we're going to say that's what I would normally do. Now we're going to go just imagine I did. Now we're going to go to the next step.
Through the magic of television.
Yeah, well, see, I have another saw prepared, so.
Mhm. Very nice.
Need more light on it.
You can see it pretty well.
Yeah, it's sort of dark here. I'll just pull this out. So, spin this around, you can see the cut that I did in with the milling machine.
Yeah.
So here we go. The reason being is even with that Woodruff key cutter, you don't get enough clearance to come back in here to clear the bottle cap. So I'll cut the trough. If I go ahead and try putting the Woodruff key cutter down in, unless the mouth was open wider, it'll go ahead and it'll hit the top. So I make a groove as much as I can close. This is a diamond, like a 5/8 diameter. This allows me then to come in here. I can't tell, are we getting it to right there? Here we go. So anyway, just allows me to come in here and open up the top of this dental work. Now, you could use this diamond cutter for the entire thing if you don't have a milling machine. That takes off material much quicker if you can get in there. So anyway, so I'll just open this up a bit, give a little more clearance, and then the stamp number and datum on the bottom. And let's see. So that would be, it's not stamped, but I think number 74, and here's number 75. I'll go ahead and I'll grind the bottom because I would like them to stand up. At this point, once you forge them, the bottom's at an angle, they don't stand up. You can also go ahead and use them as a business card holder. Works good laying down flat. And that's the demo.
Yes. Excellent. Oh, Frank, that was so marvelous. You did an amazing job. And I want to commend you for being our first live stream demonstrator who not only demonstrated, but also ran his own camera. So you get a full round of applause. Thank you.
So there we go. This is what sort of we made today. If any of you guys want to see in the future, one of the things I was going to do originally is make a little mini billet, 2 inches long. Should be able to get to weld in about 4 minutes, maybe actually forge out an entire knife at the 30-minute mark. So if you guys want, you can let them know. And after the professionals take over for the next 6 to 8 weeks doing the real blacksmith demos, if there's an opening, then, if they want, I can come back and do a Damascus demo or something like that. All right, thank you very much. And I'd like to say thank you on behalf of myself and the group. I hope we passed the audition.